That old saying, and I quote, "Where there's a will, there's a way," unquote. You know, everybody knows that I'm crazy about flying. 35 years ago, my uncle took me flying. And last week, I discovered that paramotor, they call it paragliding, but nicknamed paramotor. No license, FAA requires no license to fly. Since I discovered that last week, I'm hog wild. And what this is, it's the cost to make a paramotor yourself, homemade. Now, first of all, don't worry, I'm very safety conscious, and I'm going to wear a very good helmet. Now, you got a cage, you got a harness, you got a gas tank. That costs around $200 to make the right way. This here is the stuff you don't make. Now let me read it to you. This is the cost of a propeller. I'll go to the low end because it's anywhere from $150 to $250. A carbon, which is stronger, a carbon propeller prop, it's about $400. I ain't worried about that now. I'm just going by the cheapest. So a prop is $150. The engine is anywhere from $300 to $2,000. I'm sticking with $300. Smaller CC engine. The reserve chute runs about $300 to $700. Total cost of a paramotor, $500 to $3,500. Now I figure I'd put in about $650 to $700. Now, when I would go flying, I'm going to a yard sale and find me a motorcycle helmet because when you fly, you want your chin protected too. And by the way, there's a guy on YouTube that made a homemade paramotor and he went flying. Of course, he made a video. I watched it. It flew real good. Now, the cost, in the beginning, I stated the cost $200 on the cage, your harness, and seat belts. And they also mentioned outdoor nylon fabric. I was reading it's actually easy to make a parachute. Sorry for the wind. Yeah, I was reading that online. It's actually, it's easier than what you think to make to the specs, to make a parachute, which was interesting. Now, if I had the money and I could trust somebody to build me one, a paramotor, so I could go flying. Now, a homemade paramotor, I know I spoke of 15,000 feet. A homemade paramotor, I wouldn't fly over 6,000, a little over a mile high. I'd want to fly to my mom and dad's, about 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet. I wouldn't fly them real high because it's homemade. One of these days I'll buy me an expensive paramotor and fly at 15,000 feet. You know, just to go up there and come. My average on any kind of paramotor, homemade or new, my average height would be about 7,000 or 8,000 feet. But a homemade a homemade paramotor, say that again, paramotor, I'll average out 7,000 or 8,000 feet flying. But a homemade, I wouldn't mind flying at a mile high for 200 miles, no. But it cost me about $650 to $700 to make me a good paramotor. And I can find me a motorcycle helmet at a yard sale. I found them before, a motorcycle helmet, because I want my chin protected too. I'd like to find me a white helmet, higher visibility. But that's the total cost of a homemade paramotor for me, so I can start flying. Yeah, last week I discovered no license required. Now I'm hog wild. I gotta get me a paramotor. And homemade, about $650, $700, what it cost me homemade. The second hardest part is finding somebody you can trust to build you one. Well, that old saying, quote, "Where there's a will, there's a way." unquote.